Sebastian here for Comic Impact, bringing you the impact for another week. Let's get to it, we got a lot to cover. Starting off this week, Robert Downey Jr. actually walked out of an interview for Age of Ultron with UK's Channel 4 Krishnan Gurumurthy. Of course, this is also the same interview that got berated by Quentin Tarantino during his interview with Django Unchained, although this time, when asked about his CD pass and his prison time, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't having any of it, and like Quentin Tarantino before him, decided to walk out of the interview. Pretty crazy stuff. Next up, a bit of a conclusion to the Spider-Gwen story that we did a couple weeks ago. Of course, Frank Cho did a cover of Spider-Gwen in the famous Milo Manara pose. Now, this was, of course, a sketch cover on a blank variant that he intended to sell at a convention as a commission. The internet blew up, social justice warriors called for his head on a platter, Robbie Rodriguez, artist on Spider-Gwen, calling for physical violence. All that hullabaloo blows up, and of course, Frank stands his ground, does a few more parody covers, and in the end, we get to his time at Big Wow. And of course, he sold the sketch cover at Big Wow for, I believe, about $1,000, and announced via social media that he would be donating the total amount of that to the House of Ruth charity in Maryland for battered women. And of course, following suit in that, Flesk Publications, who did the Frank Cho Drawing Beautiful Women how-to book that we actually covered in an unboxing a couple months ago, announced that from now until May 1st, all proceeds from the purchase of the book direct from their website would be going to the same charity, House of Ruths in Maryland. Very, very cool stuff, and I think a pretty nice conclusion to all that nonsense that went on. So kudos to Frank Cho. Some sad news for fellow Simpsons fans. I know I am one. I've been collecting these for a while. Fox announced that there would be no more Simpsons DVDs or Blu-ray sets, which is pretty unfortunate. I've been collecting them since the early 2000s when they came out. And of course, we have seasons 1 through 17, and they did a season 20 for the 20th anniversary of the show a couple of years ago. That was a pretty bare bones Blu-ray. There was no commentaries or really any special features of the sort, which means anybody who was hoping to fill in at least the gap for the first 20 years, seasons 18 and 19 will not be coming out for the foreseeable future, and kind of bums me out. They didn't attribute it to declining sales at all. They said sales have been consistent with the DVDs, but by the look of it, they're trying to push everybody to digital purchases, which makes me sad, but that's okay. Simpsons will still be out digitally, and of course there's the Simpsons World. Now, the one caveat of the Simpsons World from FXX is that the episodes are cropped and zoomed in to fit 16:9 televisions, and they are the syndication versions of the episodes, which means they have entire B stories or jokes cut out for when they wanted to fit in more commercials. So they're not even complete episodes, and that kind of makes me sad. Not really fair, especially if you want to go back and watch the first 10 to 12 seasons, which are considered some of the best of the show. Alright, moving on. We also not only had Big Wow, but at the same time, Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim. And of course, they announced that next year it would be in the UK. But a couple big announcements. First off, Battlefront, the video game coming out at the end of this year, would not only have a sequence that ties in the Battle of Jakku, which we see in the brand new trailer that was released, but there would be no ship combat, which actually kind of hurts a lot. I was kind of hoping for that, but it's okay. The game looks pretty amazing. It's from DICE, the guys who've done Battlefield, and I've got full faith that they can keep the Star Wars license in good hands, and by the look of it, everything looks gorgeous. The in-game engine stuff looks amazing, so I'm pretty psyched as a gamer. And of course, the other news, the new anthology series of movies will be called Star Wars Anthologies, beginning with Rogue One. And of course, the Rogue One story is going to take us to just before A New Hope, and the search for the plans for the Death Star. Actually really, really cool stuff. And of course, these will jump around different timelines. So knowing that this is a pre-New Hope story, but post-Episode 3 story, gets me pretty excited. They got a lot of content they can cover with these movies. So good on them. And of course, some of the other big news this week, Iceman has been revealed as being homosexual, which is of course a bit of a change of pace for the character, seeing as there's been nothing really in any of the X-Men continuity that points to that, and that's sort of where the controversy is kind of being laid out by people. Not so much that he is now gay, but that there've really been no hints of that in his character. And they even joke about that in the book, where they say, "Are you sure it's not Angel?" And I know a lot of people on the internet were kind of pulling for Angel to be the guy in the big reveal. But hey, if Bendis can pull it off and write a good story around it, he was even poking fun at it himself in the book. So hey, I say we give it a shot. If they do it right, what's the harm? They even mention that future Iceman isn't gay. So I'm kind of confused about that. But hey, you know, timey-wimey and all that. Also, Bruce Timm is back in the DC animated universe with a brand new movie. Of course, this is an hour-and-a-half tale, Justice League Gods and Monsters, in a completely different Earth, and they're pulling a lot of things from the Elseworlds way of storytelling. This is the story of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, the trinity of this universe, but like all Elseworld story, there is a twist. Superman is the son of Zod in this story. Batman is actually Kurt Langstrom, the Man-Bat, and he's a vampire. And Bruce Timm has always said that he's wanted to make Batman a vampire, so pretty cool stuff. And of course, Wonder Woman is Becca, who in the old Jack Kirby New God stuff was Orion's wife. Interesting stuff. And Lex Luthor, he's got a bit of a Stephen Hawking vibe to him. The first trailer is out. I'm pretty stoked for this. It looks like not only something in the Bruce Timm tradition, but in the tradition of Elseworlds, which DC has kind of abandoned as of late. Bums me out, but this looks good. I'm excited. And hey, it's an hour and a half. It's a pretty long story. A lot of these movies haven't been really any more than about an hour. And lastly, some really, really big news. Daredevil Season 2. If you listen to the podcast that Travers and Darren and I did, we talked about how the way that these Netflix shows were supposed to go was one season per show until we get to the Defenders. And of course they announced that the Defenders would be in, I believe, the Infinity War Part 2 Avengers movie. But beyond that, that was sort of it. That was the sealed fate for these characters. But then Netflix comes around and says, nope, Daredevil Season 2. So we've got Daredevil, we've got AKA Jessica Jones, and I believe we've got Daredevil Season 2 just after that. And in Jessica Jones, they're going to introduce us to Luke Cage, who will be getting his own series. And then, of course, Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, of course, all leading into Defenders. And then all those characters will be making their film debut in Infinity War. Pretty crazy, exciting stuff. And of course, all these shows are not supposed to go beyond one season, but hey, it's kind of cool. Daredevil blew up overnight, and I have said that Daredevil is easily the best live-action superhero show I've ever seen, and I think has ever existed. And I've seen them. I think I've seen just about all of them, from the old DC serials back in the 30s and 40s, all the way to just about everything that they've put out. It's interesting stuff, and I'm super, super psyched. And that's a lot of news for this week, and I hope I was able to cover for you all. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, give us a like, hit the subscribe, and of course, leave a comment down below if there's anything that I didn't cover or anything you want to talk about. Or hey, just let me know if you like me, because I like you guys. And thank you very much for watching.